So guys, we'll continue the discussion with respect to statistics, and in this video, we are going to discuss the different types of statistics. And trust me guys, this is also a very important interview question. The interviewer may ask you, what are the two different types of statistics, and try to explain us with some examples. Okay. Usually in statistics, there are two types. One is descriptive and the other one is inferential. Descriptive statistics, it consists of organizing and summarizing of data. I'll give you a lot of examples, so don't worry. Organizing and summarizing of data. So all the techniques that is basically used specifically in statistics to organize and summarize the data, that belongs to the part of descriptive statistics. So, and some of the basic examples or basic techniques that are actually used. One is measure of central tendency. So in measure of central tendency, we usually have techniques like mean, median, and mode. I hope many of you have heard about this mean, median, mode. So let me just rub this and properly write it properly. Mean, median, mode. So this is the techniques that are actually used in the measure of central tendency, and the measure of central tendency and when we should use mean, median, mode, I'll just explain you in the upcoming videos. But let's understand, apart from these techniques, what all are the other techniques that are involved. There is also a technique which is called as measure of dispersion. And here we specifically have techniques like variance. The second technique that we usually have is something called as standard deviation. We'll understand everything guys as we go ahead. When you're seeing this entire sessions of statistics videos, you'll be able to understand all these particular topics which I will be discussing in depth. Okay, so measure of dispersion is again a part of summarizing of the data using variance and standard deviation technique. This standard deviation is also given by some symbols. All those things we'll try to discuss. So I hope you have got some idea about descriptive statistics. I'll also take one amazing example through which you will be able to understand in depth. Now coming to the second type is called as inferential statistics. And what does inferential statistics deals with? Suppose if you collect some data. From this particular data, we will be able to make some conclusions or inferences, right? Conclusion or inferences using some experiments. Now what are those experiments? We'll discuss about it. Okay, there are different kind of experiments. Some of the experiments which we basically use are like z-test, t-test, many more, and all these things we'll try to learn. First of all, we collect some data, and this data is usually called as sample data. Then through some experiments, we make some conclusion, and this conclusion is actually made for some other data. And this data is basically called as population data. Okay. So what we do, we usually take some sample data. What is the difference between population and sample? Again, in the next video, that video will get uploaded. But if you really want to understand, we collect some kind of sample data, we perform some experiments, and we bring up some conclusions or inferences for this specific data, which is the population data. And obviously population data size will be greater than the sample data size. Okay. So in inferential statistics, we deal with finding out conclusions and inferences from some specific data, right? Which portrays some information regarding the other data, which I have actually definitely defined as population data. Now let me just show you one basic example which will actually help you to understand. Suppose there is a college of students. So there is a college A. Okay. So in this particular college A, there are many students. Let's consider that there are 1,000 students. right? Now what I do is that I take up a class. Suppose this is my college name is A. Suppose I say that there is a class of statistics students. Okay. And now I have randomly picked up some ages of those students, or you can say height of the students, right? So I'm picking up some height of the students like 180 centimeters, 170 centimeters, 162 centimeters. Like this, I have randomly picked up some people over here, right? Let me write down some more information. Okay. So here I have 150 centimeters, 160 centimeters, like this, right? So I have picked up this sample of students. Now, if I really want to make you understand how descriptive and inferential statistics we will deal in this kind of problem statement, the first thing that you need to understand is that in descriptive statistics, I may use measure of central tendency. Measure of central tendency basically means like mean, median, mode. I may say that the mean height of this particular sample or median height of this particular sample is so and so centimeters, right? Mean basically means average. Okay, so the average probably is somewhere around 165 centimeters. Let's calculate it and find it out. I've just randomly written. Okay, so this is how descriptive statistics is basically mentioned. Okay, in the case of inferential statistics, what we do, by considering this heights, right, from this sample, can we conclude what may be the height of this 1000 students, or what may be the average height of this 1000 students? So this is my sample in this particular case. By considering this particular data, can I conclude that what may be the average height of this 1000 students? That is what we do in inferential. We bring up with some conclusions or some inferences. This is very, very much important, right? So this is the basic understanding with respect to descriptive and inferential statistics. There are a lot of different kind of experiments we perform. Now, if I really want to find out whether we can conclude what may be the average height of this 1000 students, we have to perform various experiments. And this 1000 students is my population data, right? Is my population data. So this is just a basic understanding to make you understand what is the basic difference between descriptive and inferential statistics. As we go ahead, we will be discussing in depth about what is population, what is sample, and then what is this measure of central tendency, what is measure of dispersion, everything as we go ahead. So we will continue the session. I'll see you all in the next video.